Just wanted to make sure I didn't botch that one up. So it's Linda Rouseau, and she's a transformational life coach. Is that on? Oh, I didn't have it on. Thank you so much. You're the best. So we have Linda in the studio today, for those of you that couldn't hear me live on Facebook. And we are going to be joined by David Corson, my partner with Lead Up for Women, as well as Annette and Nicole. They were two of the attendees at the Philadelphia luncheon that we just had. It was so much fun. We had such a great time. And they had us in a vault. I'm going to tell the story live when I know we're live on Facebook, but I want to make sure our Voice America friends, for everyone that goes and listens to the show, that they hear all about the luncheon. So we'll introduce you, and then we can bring you in. We'll bring you in toward the end of the segment.
Okay.
So how's everybody out there today? Anything new happening? Any comments? Hi, Glenn. Hi, Renee. Love you guys. You're such the best supporters ever. I really appreciate that. I just want to say thank you. I have a little birthday in my family today. I have to give a shout out for somebody. Boy, my mouth is dry today. Renee said good morning.
Good morning, Renee. I am over here trying to connect my internet, so pay me no mind.
Oh, okay.
All right. Sorry to interrupt here, but
You're not interrupting.
we are about a minute out from showtime here. I do have David, Nicole, and Annette
That's
on
perfect.
hold.
I'm going to bring in Annette and Nicole first, as soon as Dee and I are done speaking. And then after break, I'll bring in David.
All right. I'll let him know he's going to hold for the first segment.
Yeah.
All right. And I guess we're good to go. We'll get going here in about 30 seconds.
Okay, thanks. So we'll do 2 breaks. And when we're on break, there's commercials running for Voice America, so they can't hear us speaking. But of course, our friends on Facebook can hear. They get all the background stuff. So they get all the fun when we have issues or problems or whatever we run into. They get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So, but we love doing it because it gives us another, for some people that don't, would rather watch it than listen to it, and also see, what's happening in the studio.
Here we go.
I feel like we should do a song and dance sometimes. I don't know.
Welcome to Lead Up for Women. Speak up to lead up with Colleen
Getting
Biggs
there.
and Dee Daniels. Are you ready to lead without permission and take the steps needed to live your best life? Whether you want to start the business of your dreams or celebrate your present and future accomplishments,
Did you
you're
get connected?
definitely in the
Mine
right
just
place.
connected right
Now,
away.
here are your
Well, you know
hosts,
what? I've never
Colleen
bought
and
this
Dee.
computer in the office.
Hello there, listeners. You are joining us today at Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and I am joined by my co-host, Dee Daniels.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? This is Dee Daniels.
We also have a special guest in the studio today, Linda Rouseau. Just say hi to everybody.
Good morning, everyone.
And we will be bringing in Linda. She is a transformational life coach, works with teenagers, and so we will be bringing her inspiration toward the end of the show, but you may hear her speak up a little bit throughout the show. So we are also live on Facebook, so for any of you listeners that have not already gone over to our Facebook page, I needed something to drink or something this morning for water. Please go over to our Facebook page and join us at Lead Up for Women. So Dee, how are you?
Good morning. I am absolutely great. Had a wonderful weekend. I ended up going to spend some time with family and friends and hung out in Sedona, which was
Beautiful.
absolutely beautiful. And you get so much energy there. It's kind of a renewal type of place, I think.
Yes,
So,
it is.
yes.
It is.
So that was awesome.
Yeah.
Great weekend for me. And how about you?
Yeah. Just a note on Sedona for those that do not live in Arizona. We have a lot of listeners across different countries, and Sedona is a Red Rock area. So when you drive, it's just north of Phoenix, about an hour. And when you drive into Sedona, there's a bunch of red rocks. It's just absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful.
Right.
So
Great place for hiking.
It is.
My brother,
Biking.
he flew in from Chicago and
wonderful.
wanted to hike. So him and my daughter and son-in-law went on a hike, and then my mom and I went out, obviously, to the shops and spent some time.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, they have a lot of gems.
They do.
A lot of oils, a lot of gems, a lot of stones.
Yeah.
You know, they're very much about the earth in that area.
And crafters.
A lot of wineries.
Yeah.
It's just a really
It was
cool
a lot
place.
of fun,
Yeah. We celebrated Father's Day this
that too,
weekend.
yes.
Yeah. So we celebrated my husband, and all the kids came over, and it was a really good weekend. I thought the weather was okay, and it was a really nice weekend. So that's what I did this weekend. And we're just coming off of our real quick, just in case he's there, my grandson Avi has a birthday today, and I want to say happy birthday to Avi, who just turned 5 years old. So happy birthday, Avi!
Happy birthday,
Grandma.
Avi.
I'll call you later. So we just came off of Philadelphia, which when we were in the Philadelphia luncheon on June 13th. It was raining. It was one of those days where you wake up and you look outside and you're like, oh no, it's just pouring down rain like cats and dogs. And I guess that's expected for that city. But we were downtown Philadelphia at Del Frisco's steakhouse.
Right.
And I think it was an old bank that they turned into a restaurant. It's 2 levels. We went downstairs into the vault. It was, I'm talking a vault. You can go to our leadupforwomen.com website, and you can go see all the photos. You can see the vault. And on both sides of this room was just a wine cellar with clear glass. On both sides, this setting was absolutely beautiful. The attendees had a great time. The meals were exquisite. The food was just phenomenal.
Oh, wow.
The energy was great. We had Sharon Lontock, who is the Chief Executive for Human Resources for Tidal Alliance. We had Gina Noda, who is the co-founder of Connect Source. We also had Marnie Schneider, who's the granddaughter of Leonard Toast. We've had all of them on the radio show.
Yes.
And she brought her books, and we raffled off some books, and she signed them, autographed all of them after. It was just a really great time connecting with all the ladies in the room, and it was very exciting. I was able to stay. My partner David had a get-together that evening. He brings brands and vendors together in the industry of commercial real estate and construction. And so we were able to go to that event and spend some more time with some people. So it was really a wonderful day. We took pictures with the Rocky statue. My husband and I ran up the stairs that Rocky ran up.
Oh, wow.
I always wanted to do that, even though I tripped because I had flip-flops on. I'm glad I wasn't very graceful, so I'm glad it wasn't recorded.
But you did it. That's all
fun.
that counts. You made the attempt.
It was on my bucket list. I think every
There
time
you go.
that one
Mark
of the,
that off.
Yeah,
Done.
one of the important things is when you're in a different state or city, go see, something fun. So I wanted to bring on a couple of guests that we have that actually attended the luncheon. We have Annette on the line, as well as Nicole, Annette Debiek, and then Nicole Young. So if we could bring them in really quick. Monk will just bring you in. Hi, ladies. Are you there? Almost.
How are you?
Hey, yeah. How are you? Is this Nicole?
Yes, it is.
Hey,
No, this is-
Nicole.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, Annette. No, that's okay.
Hi.
Hey, how are you today, hon?
Good.
Good.
How are you guys?
Awesome.
Hi, Nicole and Annette. How are you?
Hello. How are you?
Good. This is Dee.
It's so good to speak with you guys again. And we just traveled to Philadelphia, like I was talking about, and we were in the vault, and we talked a lot about the power of positive mindset. We talked a lot about really tapping into who you are and taking that journey to realize what it is that your future wanted to look like. And I just wanted to ask, I'll start with Annette. That way we don't talk over each other really quick. But Annette, why did you choose to attend the Lead Up for Women luncheon in Philadelphia?
Well, besides, knowing you personally and David as well, it's just such a great event that speaks to women in general. In the workplace that today, And for years, it has always been male dominated, and it just was very empowering to sit and hear stories from very strong professional women, and just to get their feedback and to see what worked for them, what challenges did they face. Are they the same as me? Are they the same as everybody else? Everybody has challenges. It was great to hear everyone's stories on what made them just keep persevering.
Thank you for sharing. That's wonderful. What about you, Nicole?
I actually have always been independent and a leader, so I joined to become more passionate to the people who don't have a voice. They don't know how to speak up and speak out because they're afraid of what everyone else will visualize them as or stereotype them. I believe that strength comes from within, but we have all along the journey have struggled with tragedy, overcoming our children, our childhood. I just thought it would be a different twist to maybe meet with other women that were more powerful, that I could learn something from them, or I could share something from that meeting with someone else and go out in the world and make a difference, whether it be man, woman, female, child, or whatever, just to leave a legacy for my own daughter and for other young women moving up in society and the corporate ladder to become who they are and just be themselves.
Thank you for sharing. So what did you get from the luncheon? What did you walk away with, or was there an aha moment during the luncheon for you?
For me?
Yeah.
Nicole,
Nicole, I'll just ask you a question. Yeah.
I think my pivotal moment was when you spoke about your personal journey. We have been parallel in our lives with overcoming some difficulties from our past that we stereotyped ourselves. And unfortunately, that's the world that we view it as. And as I explained to you that day, that all women are different flowers in that garden. You might be a rose, I might be a sunflower, and that might be a lily. Dee might be, a tulip. But we all bring something different, and we're all beautiful in our own way. So if we would just all be in the garden and as a patch together, we could make this a better place from the outside, and then looking in, be stronger from the inside, because it takes that personal growth, the seed, the planting, to grow, to become that beautiful. We just need to empower each other.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing. You shared that with me at the luncheon, and I appreciate that analogy and that visual that you give, because we are all different. And at the luncheon, I mentioned a little bit about how we each have a very unique fingerprint, and not any of us have a fingerprint that's exactly the same in the entire world. Not one person is alike another. So why do we always try and fit in? It's really about finding you and being you and standing out, because there isn't fitting in when we're all different. So thank you for sharing that, Nicole. What about you, Annette? I know you and I had some additional intimate conversations later in the evening, but what did you take from, if you could share with our listeners, what you took from that luncheon?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to kind of piggyback on what Nicole was saying, it's so empowering to hear these stories that you all tell and the challenges that you face. And, specifically, every story spoke to me. It's hard to pinpoint which one was more outreach me more than the other, but each story, like as you said, was unique and individual, and it just spoke to, when challenges come up, as they do in every person's life, especially in your professional career, the way that you look at it is your mindset is 100% how you can get through each day, and that really was important for me to hear. As we all struggle day to day. It was important for me to hear, especially right now, that everyone had these crazy things that they have overcome, and they're still here, they're still standing, they're still positive, which is absolutely 100% the right mindset that everyone should have, that things happen and you get through it. No matter how hard you have to work to get there, if you have an end in mind, if you have a, creative visualization on what you want to do next, that's the most important thing. And then to also have a really strong support system behind you that can help just cultivate that. Yeah.
Having a community of people to support you through that journey. Yeah. And knowing that you have somewhere to turn. So Annette, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. If you were to be able to speak to someone who was on the fence and didn't really understand what our luncheons were about, and our next luncheon is going to be in Boston, and they're located in that Boston area or flying in during our next luncheon on July 16th, what advice or what would you say to them for attending the luncheon?
Oh, I would 100% recommend it because, I wasn't sure what it was going to be about. We have talked about what the organization was, but just to be there and be around all of those women and all the panelists and yourself, and just to learn that, again, everyone can persevere no matter what happens. That's what that to me was all about. And I would tell someone who was on the fence about going, just go. It's so empowering. You spend 3 hours there just listening to people talk, their stories, meeting new people, which I thought was great because being in business development, I do meet people, but it's timid. Sometimes you get timid when you're around a lot of stronger personalities, and this was really awesome to share. And that exercise was great. I made couple great connections, learned something new about the people that I was talking to. So if nothing else, it's just a great, fun luncheon.
The food wasn't bad either, huh? So good.
It was great.
It was amazing. What Annette's referring to is the purposeful connections that we do, where we have a sticky on the back of your badge and you write down one thing you need and one thing you can offer. And then you go find another person that you can offer what they need, and vice versa. And that way you really make a purposeful connection of someone who you can stay connected with for a long, long time instead of running around collecting like 25 or 30 business cards. What about you, Nicole? What would you say?
I would probably say follow your voice, follow your gut instinct.
Yep. Yeah.
Speak out. I would probably say follow that voice that scares you, because if it doesn't scare you, it doesn't make you stronger.
Yes.
We're so afraid with society, again, to step up and step out. Don't be afraid of that voice, because we as women, we know that it leads us to where we're supposed to go, but we ignore the red flags in every area of our life. If you're going to do something, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Yes.
Do something different.
Yeah.
Somebody once told me, if your circle of friends does not make you smarter, find a new circle of friends. Now, I don't mean go out and find new friends, literally, but it's the truth. The people that are closest to you can't see how your greatness is sometimes. So partner up with people that you can learn from. Yeah. And that's what I learned in that. I'm never going to be afraid to ask the wrong question. I found that in the meeting, similar minds have similar reasons to succeed. The women in that room were very open, honest. We lay it all out there, and you're not afraid to say how you feel. There's no judgment in that room. Yeah. Come, join the rest of everybody. Learn something new. Yeah. Send a new message to the people that are around you that you're a force to be reckoned with. We're here to change the world. But if you don't take a step, you're never going to know.
Yeah.
Jump. Don't even look back.
Very true.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I would even piggyback on that to say, surround yourself with people that believe in you. Surround yourself with people that believe in the same possibilities of what life can offer you, that they understand that you can manifest the life that you want. And surround yourself with people that are limitless, that really have that same mindset. Because we talked about community a lot, and how you would be surprised when you do really lean into who you are, and if that requires a faith of and a leap, those closest to you tend to be the ones that get a little scared, and those closest to you that you think are going to be your biggest supporters sometimes aren't, and having a community is
this
so
is
important.
Yeah. This is Dee, and I have a question for both of you ladies, and I just want you to think about what would you tell your younger self just from being having this experience, going to Lead Up for Women? What did you learn now that maybe you wish you had known before, and what would you tell your younger self today?
Oh, wow. There's so much I would tell my younger self today. Not just about careers, but about life in general. Hindsight is always 2020. But I would tell my younger self to be stronger, speak out more, don't be so timid. Remember that what you're doing now is building your future career.
Awesome.
What was that, Annette? Go ahead.
Yeah, that was Annette.
Oh, go ahead, Nicole. Sorry.
That was Annette. I would just say be different. Being different is okay. I've always been different my whole life, and I used to think there was something wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
But as it grew and I got stronger, people were intimidated by it. Don't be intimidated by it. I want to learn something from someone else. Don't ever be afraid to approach somebody because you're intimidated, because you never know what they're struggling through. You just don't.
Yeah.
Be compassionate.
Right.
Be
So
kinder. Don't be judgmental, because you do not know. If tomorrow doesn't come, you don't get a second chance.
Mm-hmm.
Don't live with regret. My bucket list is full. There's one thing left on it. Piggyback what you were saying before about your bucket list. Do everything you say you're going to do and have no regret.
Yeah.
I'm leaving a legacy for my kids, and that's one thing I wish I would have started sooner.
I love it.
Just have your kids look at you as a role model, and if you live that way every day, you have no regrets.
You're so inspirational, Nicole. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful question, Dee. I really, again, ladies, thank you so much. And Nicole is a member now of Lead Up for Women, and I know that she has a dream to create this business for women and this outdoors, and there's so much that she wants to do, and we want to make sure that we're there for her on that journey, and we can partner up with that. So there's so much we can do in putting women on platforms and helping them through the process of living their best life and living a legacy as well as leaving one, but really living one. And so thank you guys so much for joining us at the luncheon. It was so wonderful to meet you, Nicole. It was so wonderful, Annette, to see you again. And I can't wait until we meet up at another luncheon in the future or at our annual conference next year. So thank you, ladies. We really appreciate your attending today. And your words of wisdom. All right, you guys, we are going to head to break. And when we get back, we are going to be interviewing David Corson, the co-founder of Lead Up for Women. Come on back for more.
Okay, great job. All clear. Back in a couple minutes.
All right. Hey, Kayla just joined us, and Kayla missed it on the very first that I gave Avi a shout out and said happy birthday to him. But I just saw that you joined, so he might not have seen that earlier. So if he's watching the computer right now, happy birthday, Avi. Grandma loves you. Today's his 5th birthday. So thank you, Paige, for joining us as well. We always love it when we have several people that join us on
Hi,
Facebook
Paige.
Live.
How are you?
No, she's probably doing pretty good. All right.
I hope so.
So next we'll have on David. And let's see what else is going on these days.
So is this appropriate for today?
Oh, yeah, girl. You got to show our listeners, our Facebook friends, women
Trust
never
me,
stop.
Never.
Never stop.
And I do mean never.
Yeah. You know,
we get it done.
There was so much in the room of emotion for confidence and bravery, and there was vulnerability. There was a little regret and sadness at times where, you know, everyone who's in the room at a luncheon listening, they're all listening through whatever filter it is that they're what they need at that moment. Yeah. You know, everyone's hearing a different message because it's where they're at in their life. And so the comments that you receive after the luncheon always intrigue me because they're all very, very different from one woman to the next on what she gained from it. And some of them really just needed to be empowered and sit in a room when others are really looking for and grasping for change, and that's their first step.
Well, yeah, but because every woman is different, and I think people fail to realize that because your story is your story, but it's not my story or her story, and vice versa. Okay, so I think that's important to know because people tend to think their story is the story of other people, and it's not.
No, it's not. No, that's how we're so unique. It's like a fingerprint, and the story is the story, you know. But
you are listening to Lead Up
the beautiful part is we have the courage and the choice to change our story at any point that we want moving forward.
Or if you enjoy it, it should keep going and getting better because not everybody wants to change it. Right. So that's another part.
You may also send an email to info@leadupforwomen.com.
Absolutely.
Now, back to this week's show.
Hello there, listeners, and welcome to Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and I am joined by my co-host, Dee Daniels.
Good morning, everybody. This is Dee Daniels, and how are you out there today on a beautiful Wednesday? I hope it's beautiful where you are.
Yeah, it might be evening. I don't know. Sometimes
morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are. I mean, we have people all around the world, we are based here in the U.S., and right now it's morning. So, but check the world clock, and wherever you are, I'm happy to say good evening, good afternoon, and so on.
So we have David Corson on the line. David, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. So welcome to the radio show. I know you listen often, sometimes call me during the radio show. So I figured if you're going to call me, we might as well have you on the radio. So welcome.
Well, I appreciate the invite. It's a nice break from, shoot an email and, everything you have to get done every day. So,
yes, it's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
So David is our first male guest on Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up, but, he's the man behind the scenes, and I really think it's important that our listeners get to know who you are and what your past is and why you decided to join forces and do Lead Up for Women. So go ahead and let our listeners know a little about you.
I'm out of Atlanta, so I'm looking at actually a cloudy day, but we could use the water, so we'll take it. But I'm a magazine publisher. I'm really an event guy, to be honest.
Yeah, you are.
But I've been in publishing for 20 plus years, and went out on my own in 2001 and started my publishing company and had some events, etc. And then left and went out on my own and took that risk. Mm-hmm. And been standing still since 2001 and coming up on almost 20 years, which is pretty exciting because a lot of businesses don't make it during 9 out of 10 businesses don't make it when they go out on their own. It's very, very tough out there, and to succeed and go through all the ups and downs through the years has been a learning experience, and female team members have always been part of it. Mm-hmm. And we had a women's retreat. That's actually kind of, I think, the catalyst where this all came from. Mm-hmm. I've known you, Colleen, for you came to one of my events out in Scottsdale. That's how we met. Reached out to you on a cold call, right?
Yeah, you stalked me for a while. When I was working for the company.
I'm not an agriculturist, but I convinced you to come to the event.
He's persistent.
And
it's perfect.
And then you did our retreat.
Yeah.
And over the years, I'd come to some events.
Mm-hmm.
Put you on the magazine cover last year.
Mm-hmm.
And really what happened, we had done a women's event last year in the construction sector in June. And we did a whole one-day event. And we were going to put on 3 on next year with a couple of other ladies that had worked at, in the restaurant field.
Yeah.
And at our retreat, we some of the attendees had spoken about really, how to do our own gig or so forth, but be more broad, not just construction, but people could do anything and get something from our organization on the female side of things. I mean, men and women are completely wired differently. It's amazing how we've done New York, Scottsdale, Atlanta, Philly, have Boston come from one. And what's the most amazing thing that I've seen is that a 3-hour luncheon, whether there's 25 or 55 or 60 people in the room, that the female connection and the way that the mind is wired, I couldn't see that men sitting in there for that long, and we could probably do those lunches longer, and they would stay and still want to learn and listen. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. It really is. It's inspiring, to be honest with you. Yeah. But that's how the idea came. Kind of just thinking about things, and so Colleen and I spoke about it and said, let's do this thing together, and. Being on, and I have no ego, so being on behind the scenes and so forth, being one of the only males, it's an honor to work with everybody that we've built Lead Up in so far in 6 months.
So I want to bring out a quick story, and thank you for sharing that. It's an honor working with you as well. And when we were sitting at the retreat that one year, a couple years ago, and we had shared our stories. We went around the room, and we had a round table going, and we were sharing our stories. And that went on for 3 hours of just the circle of about 20 of us in the room. And you had talked a little bit about how you felt in that moment and what the energy was in the room. Do you feel comfortable sharing that with the listeners?
Well, we cover the retreats in our construction magazine, and we had done these retreats. It's probably 8 or 9 or 10th one that we've done, at least on the women's side. We decided we talk for about an hour and 15 minutes. We take a break, and then we come back and we finish it up, and we record the session, and then we put that into an editorial wrap-up section to the magazine. So everybody that didn't attend, it's a small, intimate group. All our subscribers and so forth can see what happened. But we had actually changed up the second half of the discussion with a question of, just tell us your story. How did you get to where you were? And we had never done it before, and didn't know what to expect, or if we were going to get long-winded answers or a couple of sentences. But listening to all the stories of all the different types of women that were there, regardless of what they were, if they were a retailer or a restaurateur, et cetera, or builder, all of the challenges that they had to go through, it was inspiring. It just was. That's the best word that I like to use for that whole day. It blew me away. I mean, people walked out of there. There were some tear jerkers. There was sometimes there wasn't a dry eye in there going around that UK Hollow. So we did it with the men, and it was good. We do a men's version. There's some females that attend as well, but it's mostly men on a commercial version. And it went a lot quicker. And it wasn't as deep or detailed in what they were conveying, and it was an open forum. Yeah. I mean, it was. I left there. I was like, oh my God! I wish I would have done this from the beginning. And all the people in those rooms, after you leave, you definitely have a close bond with them because they shared some of their stories, whether they've been known before or not. Yeah. And that's what happens with the luncheon. It's the same thing happens. So, I think Buffalo was last year when we did in Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls,
that was a turning point for us. Yeah. And this opportunity. Timing in business is everything. It's amazing how things happen. That being in the right place at the right time and opening your mouth or making an introduction and saying, hey, we should talk. Yeah. And that's how Lead Up happened. Yeah. And it's been exciting. Colleen and I go back and forth all day long. And you're 3 hours behind me. I'm in Atlanta. So, we're talking at, 12:30, 1:30 in the morning, about things every day. Yeah. And it doesn't get boring. It's exhilarating. I appreciate being the first male on the radio station. I'm honored.
Well, you're a huge part of this, so we want you here. The radio station is really about putting women and men that are supporters on a platform for them to be able to share who they are and what they do and their story. Because as Dee had said on break, which those in Voice America, the Empowerment Channel, if you're listening through that channel today, you didn't get to hear, but she had mentioned that, everyone is so unique and has their own story, and no two stories are alike.
Yeah, I did, and I believe that, and I think that in talking about this, I you and David obviously had concept idea about Lead Up for Women, but I think it actually launched in New York with your first event, which is when that actually launched. And, I think there's probably going to be a ton of growth here, but I think when you do something like this, it's a team effort. You have a lot of different people and different, parts of that puzzle that comes together to make something like this a success. And it's awesome when you can pull together a team of people to make something like that happen. And that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Go ahead,
one
David.
of the things that being a male, so at the luncheons, I see the whole female side of things from all different types of strong professional women, and being the publisher, being basically, I'm the publisher of my construction book, but here, call me whatever you want, proofer, etc.
You're a connector, David. You're a connector. You bring people together.
Well, what's interesting is that I take something from all of those stories because half the workforce is female, and it's going to be probably the majority down the road.
Yeah.
So if you're a male out there and you don't know how women, professional, strong women feel, and you're going to work with them in business, and hopefully have a whole team of them working with you to get things done on time, etc. You got to know how they work and how they're wired and so forth, and all of that's in every one of those stories that we print in the magazine, every one of these interviews that you do on the show and our luncheons, etc. And I think I'm actually becoming a better person. Men in general.
Wow, your wife must love you.
Yeah.
Well, no, listen,
I'm just kidding there.
Been with my wife Kristen for a long time, and
he has a
she's
wonderful
my best
wife.
friend,
Yeah.
and just like
I met her.
being
I'm
married
just
for
teasing
25
him.
plus years, the same person. We were just talking about the other night. Wow, we've been together. I've been with you half my life.
Yeah.
And I said, I know, and it went quick. We've got a great kid, 5 dogs, and we're hanging in there, and wake up every day, the sun comes up, and try to get things done. And some days are better than others, and I get things from the women. Not that I don't get things from the men. Being in contact with a lot of people and so forth. It's just different.
Well, I think it's commendable.
I would hope a lot more men would listen to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our radio show, let alone read the magazine. Actually, I had a couple of people say, "Hey, I was reading that thing. It was one of the guys at the summit. After the summit, we put out our first issue. Yeah, he had emailed me. He said, "Hey, David, I just read the editorial in the magazine. That's some really strong stuff. You guys are totally on the right track. That it's going to be huge." And this is a VP of construction, and very, very strong-minded man, telling me, "Hey, this is going to be great," and he got something out of it. And he's married to a very strong woman too. And we want her to join as well. Yeah. And so I'm coming from it. Every day is I learn something, and if I'm learning from a female, that's awesome, And so Colleen and I. Like I said, we've gone, it's amazing. We kind of have our own kind of track. We've been doing our thing, and now you try something different, and you roll the dice, and hopefully things work, and you learn from your mistakes, and
yes,
improve.
You do.
And it's nice having a female partner. You're the best.
Thanks, David. Love you too, my friend.
Well, that is awesome.
Thank you for sharing that view of a male. I think one of the most important things you said was how men can learn that it's important to realize how women think, how they feel, how they function, because we do have to work in the workforce together. And we do have to, it's like men are from Mars, women are from Venus, right? How do you expect two people that were raised in two separate households their entire life, one's male, one's female, so we're totally different, to then become married, right? And be in a household together and agree on everything. That's really tough to do. We're so different. That's why it takes so much work in personal lives as well as in the workplace, and understanding that we're different and understanding that we're both powerful in our own right, I think is absolutely key.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
but
absolutely
male
key.
and male won't agree, and female won't agree. So obviously, you can't expect a male and a woman to agree, because nobody agrees, with each other all the time. We all are different, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, I think men get along. Men tend to get along, I think, a little bit better. And I know there seems to be a lot of competition with women. And I'm not really sure why that is. I really feel that if women could just understand that you're not in competition, and I teach this a lot when I teach fitness, when you show up, you are not in competition with anybody in this room for what you want to get out of tonight in this class. It's about you. You showed up for you. So feel your body, know what you need. No one's looking at you. No one's judging you. It's about you. So just do you. And understanding that we all have a place in this world and we're all unique and we're not in competition with each other. That is, I want to have this platform for women to have a voice, and of all different women all over the world to have a voice, because they're so unique. We all need to hear what they have to say.
So true.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you, David, for joining us today. And David has a magazine because he's in commercial construction and renovation. He does events every year. He's amazing at planning events. He's a connector. He is truly a blessed connector. He brings people together for business. He brings vendors in, he brings brands in, puts them together in a room so that they can develop a relationship, so that they can work together. And I have to say, when I was working for the Little Gym International, it is because of David that I had onboarded so many vendors that are still with the company today. And it's hard to build those relationships. And when you trust someone and bring them on, you want them to be a vital part of your business and understand your brand. And what you're doing is so important in your other business, David. And I'm absolutely have gratitude for you every day for all that you do for Lead Up for Women, and for being just a huge supporter of everything that we're doing. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, it's been a pleasure, ladies. I appreciate the invite, and have a great rest of the week out west.
Thanks. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right.
It's 100, I'm sure it's 110, but it's a dry heat.
Hey, no. I think today's going to actually be double digits or something, or maybe 100 or 101.
Wow.
Like it was 118, they said, in 2016 and 2017. Today was 118. But no, we're going to be pretty cool today. So thanks for joining us, David. We really appreciate it. I appreciate you very much. Thank you so much.
I'll be in Boston.
All right. On July 16th. So we are going to head to break. And then when we get back, we have the beautiful Linda Rouseau here in the studio. And she's going to be talking to us a little bit about her story. And we'll be right back after break. So stay with us.
All right. Great job. All clear. Back in
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Hi, Diane. So Philly Pride, huh, girl? Love Philly. So Diane V is what she goes by. She's on our Facebook page, and she is going to be a guest panelist at our LA, and she's what you call the quote-unquote paleo boss. So she's the one that was struggling with MS.
We spoke with her.
Yep, and we interviewed her, and she's overcome a lot of the symptoms that they pretty much said she was going to die, and she's overcome a lot of those symptoms with her diet.
It's an amazing
and
story.
with her ability. Yeah, they said she'd never have children. She had a daughter. And so hi, Diane. Thank you so much for being on there today.
Diane. How are you?
And Paige said, I'm wonderful. She said, my children are sleeping and I'm making bows. So
Paige, then you should celebrate right now.
Yes. Do a little dance.
Dance, Paige.
So our photographer just joined us, and we're glad that he is here. There's something on the front of that. Is that a cap?
It's white balance.
Oh, a white balance. Nice. Robert, this is Linda. Linda, this is Robert.
Hi, Robert. How are you?
How's it going?
Good.
We just interviewed David.
I was listening to it.
Oh, were you? Good.
Oh, that's right. You can have the app. I forget. Some people tell me they listen in the car. I'm like, oh, that's right.
Yeah,
There's the app.
I do too. I listen to it in the car too.
Yeah.
And we want to thank everyone for joining us today out there. We are so thankful to have all of you follow us and believe in Lead Up for Women. And by the way, if any of you out there ever want to be on the radio, know someone that has a great story, and you think that they would be great to be on the radio, please send that information to me. You can email me at info@leadupforwomen.com, or you can just leave a message on our Facebook page. That's the easiest way to reach us. But we're thankful that you're all here and that you believe in us. So right when we come back from break, Linda, we'll go ahead and bring you in, and we'll do your story, and we'll have you speak, and then Dee and I will just take the last couple minutes of the show to close it out and talk about upcoming events. We have a new webinar that's posted, and another luncheon, 2 more luncheons that we have coming up here in July. We have 2 in July.
Whoa,
I better look up that next date real quick while I'm.
All right.
All
we
right.
are
Thanks,
coming
Mom.
back.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll share all these photos with you.
All right.
Yeah.
You're listening to Lead Up for Women. Speak up to lead up. To reach the show today, please call 1-888-346-9141.
Thank you.
That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to info@leadupforwomen.com. Now, back to this week's show.
Hey there, listeners. We are back live here in this studio. You are listening to Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up. Again, I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and I'm joined by my beautiful co-host, Dee Daniels.
Hello, how are you? How is everybody? And hi, Facebook, how are you?
Yeah, so we're also streaming live on Facebook, and we have the beautiful Linda Rouseau here in our studio, and she's a transformational coach, teenage mentor, and a coach with Freedom Is All Mine is her company. So welcome, Linda.
Thank you. Thank you for
Welcome,
having
Linda.
me.
Yeah, we're so glad you're here. So tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I love being able to help people reach their goals. I've worked with teenagers in the Detroit, Michigan area for 15 years as a mentor, also as an assistant basketball coach, and working in a middle school setting. And it was just enjoyable seeing students rising to the occasion, even though they may have been in backgrounds where they were told that they weren't going to amount to anything, or that was what they actually thought was going to be the case. But to see them excel and to just go to other heights, that was just fun for me. I understood youth, and being able to think back as to what it was like for me, that was always the thing that kept me with an edge. So love the transition of teenagers, and now it's young adults also, but from say 18 to 40. I know it's a wide range, but it's still a transition time period in life. And it's a time of, we all have some kind of block at some point where we're not certain of what exactly we want to do, a decision we need to make, whether it's personal, business, whatever the case may be. And it's my pleasure to be able to help guide that individual so that they're able to go to that next level. It's not that I'm giving them advice. They're able to catch it because they know it for themselves.
Exactly.
How did you get to the place where you started coaching people and mentoring teenagers when you were in Michigan? How did you reach that spot in your life?
That was something that I truly fell into. It was not my plan. I didn't want to have anything to do with anyone else's kids.
Seems like it never is our plan, right? And then your life just changes.
Yes. And, it was, just became a joy when I started working in the school system. I started off working there as a secretary, and then they were always drawn to me. So it truly was organic. And for now, even in life, realizing my own personal experiences, hurt, pain, trauma that you go through, and what can I do to make it better? Who is it that I can trust and feel safe with?
Right.
And know that I'm able to move forward. So that was even my experience here in Arizona.
Well, I can imagine, because just kind of knowing, the Detroit area, and
They still struggle just, economically and in so many other ways, especially socially trying to build in that area, that had to be something that was an impact just, community-wise of you seeing things and saying, hey, I need to do something to help these young people. So when that thought came to you, what did it look like, your role as somebody that was going to coach some teenagers and try to get them in a different mind space? What was it that you said that this is what I want to do and this is kind of how I want to do it?
Well, I found myself growing up, as Nicole stated earlier, I was different.
Right.
And instead of looking at life as what's wrong, it was how can I make it better?
Okay.
And I would see that person, that underdog that may have been being made fun of. I myself was one of those people that was being made fun of.
So you were bullied.
Yeah, and it was, growing up then, it was just, you had to learn how to survive.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I was going out looking for trouble, but I knew how to stand my ground. And just being able to dream what I wanted life to look like. I would go places. I would take long walks in settings that were just absolutely beautiful and take it in and just allow my dreams to go and realize that it's not impossible. The question was, how can I attain that? And so with the young people, it was helping them to realize the same thing. You may be in one situation, but that doesn't mean that that's your life. It doesn't have to stay that way.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. You have, as part of your bio, you talk a little bit about how you believe in being the change that you desire, and that your motto is that one person can make a difference.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit more about that. Tell our listeners a little bit more about that deep feeling that you have about change.
We can talk about change all day long, but if we're not being about the change, what good is it?
Yeah.
So I realized early on that whatever I wanted to see different, it meant that I was going to need to take some steps to go in that direction. And if I didn't know how, I would find somebody that could show me. And so realizing that, and I took the steps to change my life, even though it wasn't always easy, even though it was very scary. I saw that it was a necessity. So, say for instance, early on, my mother passed away. I was only 13. So,
That's so rough.
Easily, it could have went downhill.
Right.
But I remembered the things that were instilled in me at a young age. And I wanted to honor my mother. I wanted to do the things that would show that she put in the work. So because of that, even when it would get tough, it was, okay, what can I do to change the situation? Yeah. I don't want it to stay this way. I don't want to be a statistic. I can have a better life.
So when you said, I said I'm going to change my life, what was one of those things that at that time you thought about? You said, I've got to change. I can't do this.
Well, that was the mindset. Instead of looking at everything as doom and gloom, I'm doomed for failure because this is the surrounding, because I'm a minority or single parent raised me. I made the decision, even when my marriage failed, that my sons wouldn't be a statistic. I'm going to still train them in a certain way, the best that I knew how, so that they could have a chance.
But what do you tell that that young teenager, in the Detroit area, maybe living in one of the rougher parts of towns, where there's all kinds of just crime, and everybody they know is involved in something, and how do you tell that person that you can overcome this, and your current circumstances, that's not where you have to ultimately end up.
Right.
How do you tell them that? How do you tell them that, and how do you have them really believe it?
Mm-hmm.
It really is going in deep to get them to dream. What is it you would like to see? Because you're seeing this and it looks horrible. What would life be like?
So visualization for them to really dive in.
Right.
Yeah.
If you didn't have to fear for your life, if you knew that you were going to have food on the table, if you know that you have a home that is safe for you and your family, and that you can have your own family the way that you would desire, what exactly would that look like? So getting them to starting to look at what it could be like, then it opens up another area in their mind.
Right.
Nice.
As a result of that, then it's what will it take for us to get that?
And I'm glad you said that, and I asked you that question for a reason.
Yeah.
And the reason is this, because, I can say, my life was privileged growing up, and I'm going to say that because it really was. Okay. I didn't have to go through a lot of things. I didn't, have some of the situations yet. Coming from my family, I can definitely say there were people within my family that did. So sometimes people will say, oh, you could just get up and change this, and you can just do that. But that's not always necessarily the case, because if you don't know people's situations and circumstances, you can't just say, oh, you can just change that. Right. So that's why I asked you that, because that is a process itself and a mindset. And by you saying to dream, that is important, because you see something bigger than what your current situation is.
Yeah.
I think also, just to add on that point, Dee, having community for them to come together. And Absolutely. I know in a lot of these areas, they have community for them to join a dance group or to join a musician group or whatever it is, for them to come together as a community, to have a different outlet of something to do that matters to them, to be part of a community. And that helps them put their energy and effort into something good rather than put their energy and effort into something that isn't good. And for many of those children, they just need somebody to step up like you that cares, really cares, to help them visualize what their life could be, and then helping them walk through the steps of, so what are we going to do about it? What are your choices going to be every day? Right. And are your choices leading you toward that future that you want to see?
And that's a good point. But I will say this, a lot of times in some of the inner cities, they no longer have music in the school.
Right, they're going all out of the schools. I'm talking outside of the schools.
But what I'm saying is this: if you are of poverty and your parents may not be able to afford to pay for you to go to basketball or music or something, so I think those are different kids than the ones that I'm talking about, because some of them, they don't have that.
And I'm money aside, and I maybe should have been a little bit clearer, Dee, so thank you for bringing that up. I'm talking about the groups of people that will want to do these communities, and it's free. They don't charge for them to come together as a community to do, whether it be instruments and I know there's groups out there, and that's something we can research and put, out on our Facebook page. But I really feel like getting back to the seed of what Dee had asked the question. Thank you so much for you being there for these children, to give them a chance and a voice. And I know you stand for speaking for children that don't, and helping them visualize that their life can be anything that they want it to be. And it doesn't matter, again, we're all born in circumstances. Some are entitled, some are not born in circumstances that are entitled, and we all have to find our way, and we can't let our past, define us if that past isn't how we want our future to look, that we're in charge of writing our own stories moving forward.
I'm sorry, but I
That's
just
okay.
have to ask you this, because when you said, you said this word, and I'm like, oh my gosh, when you say entitled, because like with me, I think that...
Oh, I thought that's what you had said.
No,
I'm sorry.
I said that I grew
privileged.
Up, but when I said, but privileged and entitled is two different things. When I say, what I meant was this. I didn't grow up in projects. I'm from Chicago, but I did not grow up in the projects of Chicago, not based on any fact other than I had a mother that started a business. She started a furniture store. A woman, money, figured out how to get people to invest in her and started a business. I had a father who had worked on his job, retired there, saved money, opened a couple of lounges in Chicago. So when I say privilege, it was privilege based on the foundation that my parents had set for me. And what I meant was a lot of the young people I know did not have that. So that does not mean entitlement. That privilege was a privilege that my parents worked hard for, and many other people of color are in that situation. Now, entitlement is something totally different. That's where you feel that people owe you something.
My apologies.
And I work hard, honey, so don't nobody owe me anything. So I know you didn't mean it offensively, but I just kind of was like, okay, we must address that because that's not the case here.
Linda, I wish we had more time, but we're over time already.
But
and so
you keep doing what you're doing out there, and you keep helping our kids and all the kids out there that need help.
Thank you so much. And real quick, I know we have to wrap up. If you'll just share how somebody can reach you via website or email. Or
my website is freedomismine.com.
Okay.
Yes.
And my phone number is 480-788-4499.
Great.
Email is linda@freedomismine.com. And
LinkedIn, right? You're on LinkedIn?
I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook.
Great.
And feel free to contact me if you want to just set up a free strategy session.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do that for 30 to 50 minutes. And
well, thank you what you're doing for people out there. And you can always go back and get all of our information on our Facebook page. You can also go to the Voice America channel under Empowerment and look up Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up, and find this exact date of a podcast and go back and listen to that. So we're out of time. I'm just going to wrap up by saying our next week's show on Wednesday, on June 26th, we have special guest Jennifer with Love Pop Cards and Jenny Poon, which is the co-founder or founder of Cahoots. So we will have them on our show next week, and we would love for you to join us there. Don't forget, we want you to be part of our community, so you can always go out to leadupforwomen.com, click on memberships, click on events. Our next events coming up are luncheon July 16th in Boston. We have July 23rd, a webinar. It's free to everyone who'd like to join. We're going to rewrite your story with Enneagram and learn how it can help you with your personality. And then July 25th, we're in Columbus, Ohio with Aaron Joy, who's the founder of the Black Dress Circle. So we have a lot going on. And Linda, thank you so much for joining us today. And I just want to close the show by saying that, remember, you are the only you that has ever been, and you are the only you that will ever be. So don't wait for somebody else to give you permission to lead the life you've always wanted. So thank you so much for being with us today, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Have a good week.
He's like, I had to close you. We ended. He was like, do you want to push stop on that, Robert, real quick? Can you push stop on that? Thanks. Bye, Facebook. Thank you for everybody joining us today.
Bye, you guys.
Sorry, Monk. We ran way over.